One. What up, Facebook Live family and friends? The Headed Therapist is back for another rendition of interviewing cool people. Sorry, I just made it up on the dime right there. That was pretty bad. We'll try that again. Anyhow, I got a really special guest today, a great friend, mentor in my own practice, super cool dude, Anthony RIske. What up, man? How you doing today?
Hey, what's up, man?
I'm so glad you're here
Yeah, thanks
and
for the invite.
going through this process today. I really want people to get to know you, what you do, what you're all about. So you could give us an idea, and in whatever amount of time you want, who you do, what you do, and what sets you apart from the pack.
Yeah, and since this is live, I feel like if I'm really going to give you a good sense of that, I'll like start picking my nose at some point,
Right.
like kind of off in La La Land. But I'm Anthony
Right.
RIske. I'm the co-founder of Therapeutic Mentor Connection. We're a therapeutic mentor company based in Boulder and Longmont, and we take what a lot of our helping profession does into the real life context of our clients' lives. And as such, there's sort of a therapeutic component for sure. I hold a master's in marriage and family therapy, and there's also this practical life application, kind of goal setting, coaching, and life skills development aspect too. We work with teens and young adults really well, and
Mm-hmm.
with them, their parents and or other family members looking to create a supportive village for their life.
Great, and I think it takes a village to raise anyone. Honestly, I think
Right.
we forget about that sometimes. You know how difficult it can be, but it seems like the services you're providing are really kind of getting in there and really making sure people are supported in any process that they need. I think you hit a great point, and I've always wondered this: how much of what you do really is working with the kid or a teen or a young adult, and working with the parents.
Yeah, really good question. I don't know if I was to give you a ratio, it might be 6 to 1, right? We spend 6 hours with the client, we spend an hour with a parent, and the constellation of that structure is that a mentor, while they may hold the capacity of therapeutic mentor for the teen and young adult, also as and also wear the hat of parent coach, we do refer out to and have in-house our own parent coaches who work together as yet another part of that supportive village. Um, so it can look anything from like email updates, random phone calls, scheduled phone calls. And what I try to do is every 4 to 6 weeks get together for what I call a team meeting. And this is everyone gathering and collecting around the client or clients to have just like a more collaborative council, if you will.
Yeah, I think that collaborative counsel is so special, and I think we kind of miss out on that maybe in like a true structured therapeutic setting. And I want everybody out there to know. I mean, thumbs up if you even know what a mentor versus a therapist is, because some people don't. So Anthony, I really want you to break that down. Give our Facebook viewer, fan base out there an idea of like what you would consider a mentor versus what you would consider, a true therapist in the realm that you hold in the space that you hold at Therapeutic Mentor Connection.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the question, the opportunity to answer it because since I am a therapist
Right.
in training and in practice, and I'm also a mentor, it's really helpful for me to know like where do I draw that line, and
Mm-hmm.
often um, what I think that therapy does really well, and when I reference therapy, I think of like in office or even nature based, and there's just this like one really specific moment, perhaps per week, for a client where they get to take a break from their lives to really consider it deeply, right? They get to learn about themselves, who they are in the world, and maybe imagine or dream up some different ways of living based on the constellation of problems, etc., in their life. The distinct difference between the taking a break from life in order to really consider it and mentoring, which is more taking a pause in life is that with mentoring, I'm with my young adult client when he and his girlfriend are in a fight in their living room, and they turn to me trying to triangulate, and
Wow.
I fight. Well, I could tell you which one of you is crazy, and I could tell you which one of you is right or wrong.
Sure.
But we could also have a different conversation that maybe helps you work through this conflict in a new way. What would you be interested in? I'm there when the parent and her teenager are really getting into it at the bottom of the stairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
They actually want someone to help intervene on an age-old pattern, right? I might have office sessions similar to a therapist where I'm talking to a client about anxiety, but if their anxiety is around finances, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm likely as a mentor going to have them print off their bank statement and give them a bunch of highlighters and teach them how to budget versus being in versus just talking intrapsychically about
Yeah.
what the anxiety is doing in their life, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean, you're deep diving into it, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's that and it's I love it. I love being there in the moment
Mm-hmm.
because it is so much richer than them saying, coming in perhaps for a therapy session some days later and reflecting on, well, we got into this fight and it was burpadir, and it's not charged anymore. Like I want to
Totally.
be there with them in those moments, and so it feels like a real privilege. Therapeutic Mentor Connection, our sort of tagline is live life together. So I'm
Oh.
there at the DMV, having helped them get all of the different documents they need to transfer their title over.
Mm-hmm.
I'm there with them in the academic advisor's office, trying to figure out what schedule of classes they want to take, and giving them just someone to reflect on or reflect with. Is this going to be an overwhelming class load? Do you think I can handle this? And we just go through that process in the moment, time and time and time again.
I mean, that sounds like everybody should take advantage of that. Literally, I mean, who wouldn't want somebody there with them to go through those really tough situations when they feel like they don't have support? I mean, realistically,
I've been since I was 12 years old. They haven't been the
yeah.
same before, right? I learned from a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in my life, but I have someone designated there that I can go to.
That's amazing. I mean, I think it's such a needed space, and I think I commend you for doing that because it's not easy, man. I mean, once you get everybody involved and people have their own opinions, I mean, you're dealing with not just the parents, you're dealing with the cousins. I mean, it seems like everybody has a say in what goes on. I think something that you hit on so wonderfully is this idea of therapy versus mentoring, and the idea of like there's not as many boundaries when you mentor or things you have to abide by. Versus like a true therapeutic setting. And I think to me, in the work that I do as an active lifestyle coach and recreational therapist, I love that aspect of my job. Like I don't yes, we have to be HIPAA compliant. We have to follow the rules of confidentiality. But I never like to feel like I'm held back in that space. So could you talk to that maybe a little bit, and let our Facebook friends know out there like what that may feel like in regards to you being able to do as you please as a mentor versus maybe in the traditional therapy realm.
Yeah, and use a couple different words that are really important actually in trying to delineate between these things.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is the space, right? And the other is being held back. And I feel like when I'm in the office, it's just like a little too confining. Mm-hmm. Right? It can be a safe space. I've had mentees in the past that are like, hey, I got something really sensitive to talk to you about. I don't want to do that in a coffee shop, right? Totally understand, right? We can go to the office. They want a safe space that feels like it's theirs, right? Mm-hmm. And I think when it comes to a client maybe coming in the office and saying, as they do to many therapists, like, I'm just so lonely, right? Like, this isn't anxiety. This isn't depression. This is, I just don't have anybody in my corner, right? And I'm like, Well, why aren't we out there together? Why aren't we on Facebook.com trying to figure out like where, the next food truck party is? Like, why aren't we planning the next barbecue at your house and inviting your
Yeah.
coworkers? Like this is like the movement of life that I'll go ahead and say I think we used to have when we lived in smaller, more tight knit societies, these villages, if you will,
Hmm.
and our world wasn't so fragmented. I think I have a job because we don't have the types of communities that we used to, and um, yeah, to your question, like being held back and what kind of space do I like to move in? I
Yeah.
love that freedom to be able to actualize life. We refer out to therapists all the time because we value therapy and we want our mentees to be able to seek that type of professional help that is clinically oriented, that is more intrapsychic, right? And
Hmm.
mentoring is so set up to be able to actualize some of those therapeutic goals in the world that we
Hmm.
also get therapists referring to us often because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, my client keeps coming back week after week, not having followed through with the treatment
Hmm.
plan, having followed through with these goals that they have, or the progress that they want to make. And I know it's only because they're doing it alone. Like if they just had a wingman, if they had someone in their corner, right, that would go with them to these things or help, like, just do a little bit of mock interviewing before the job interview,
Yeah.
right? They would feel so much more confident and it would just lube the gears of life so that they would run and then they can come back to therapy, report, and we can celebrate those successes together.
I mean, I feel like this idea or concept like a wingman person, wing lady, whatever,
Yeah.
is it's so quintessential, I think, to those clients who really do struggle, and I hate to say failing to launch, but the idea of like being stuck. Um, because a lot of the times they can come to us, and it gets to the point where I feel like it's just not like ethically sound to work with the person in that space,
Mm-hmm.
where in the more true therapeutic realm, where I think the idea of what you're doing and mentoring and what I've done with life coaching, it really provides that space to like do those things that
Mm-hmm.
can really empower and uplift people, more so than I think it would traditionally in that kind of setting. Tell me about some like the mentors that you have. I mean, like I know we've talked about this off camera, and I've really enjoyed this. But like you've told me you've had like a Russian mentor. I mean, I feel like the breadth of what you offer is so cool. So I want you to talk about it more. I want you to like plug it, talk it up, because I think people can understand what we're talking about for sure, but I don't think they really understand the concept or space that you really hold. So if you could, that'd be
Right.
great.
Yeah, yeah. As far as our business structure is concerned, we do free initial consultations, and then we pair our families and mentees up with one of our mentors. And
Mm-hmm.
these mentors, we try to keep as diverse a profile as the clientele we imagine serving, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we work with a lot of students on campus, right? And a lot of international students fall through the cracks. So I have one mentor, she's saying, like, I came over here from Spain and I didn't have anybody in my corner. I like a relatively good command of English, but like not great. And I didn't know how to navigate a different system, right? It would have been really helpful if I just had somebody to help me figure these things out because I got like really lonely and then I went inside and I just didn't do as well as I could have at that moment, right? And so we look for Polish speaking, Russian speaking mentors. We have mentors that have master's degrees. We have mentors who have bachelor's degrees in psychology, but have been working in various modalities, wilderness therapy, residential treatment, for the past decade and a half, right? We
Wow.
really vet our mentors well as anybody in our position would, right? But we look specifically for mentors that have good uh, obviously the ability to connect relationally, maintain good rapport, but who have great organizational skills, or maybe didn't have great organizational skills at one point, but had to learn. That's so
Sure.
valuable for our clients, right? Because
Absolutely.
somebody who knows like how to maintain a calendar, a to-do list, and folders and notebooks for school. And if someone was just naturally type A, from birth, they might not understand what that learning curve is. So,
Totally.
I mean, I could go on and on about like the different profiles of our male and female mentors, but yeah, we just we want to be able to serve anybody that needs it, and in the ways that they need it, right?
Yeah.
And if speaking their native language is it, we want to like be able to find someone who is able to have a foot in both worlds, so to speak, and help invite them over culturally, help invite them over organizationally, help invite them over to even just realizing they have feelings and that those are okay to express, right? So I think the other thing I'll say too about our mentors, and this kind of relates actually to your earlier question about who it is we serve. Our as far as I know, our mentoring prices are, I think, lowest in the area, and
thumbs up if you like that.
We really tried to like work the numbers because we have grand ideas about offering scholarships and stuff, so we like squirrel away a little bit of money at a time, but it's but we are hoping to help expand mentoring, obviously beyond what the super rich can afford, but we want to expand it in socioeconomically too, and so and in so providing this is like my big dream, right? Is that
dream big, man. Dream big.
World that is astounded if someone doesn't have a mentor, right? I'm like telling you what my mentor Steve told me this past week that just blew my mind, and you're like, what mentor? And I'm like, do you not know what a mentor is? Do you not have a mentor? What? How are you in life? Because that's my reality, right?
Sure, of course.
Since I was 12. I'm like, man, I don't know how someone doesn't have someone who's like a little further along in heartbreak. I don't know how people make it if they don't have someone that's a little further along in, I don't know, what, education or their career, right? Mentoring is not a new idea. This is a really old idea. We've always been apprenticed, right? We've always been taken under someone's wing. In the business realm, everyone has career mentors, right? You meet with your mentor to figure out what next steps you needed to take to level up to get that promotion. This is like, we're just psychology and the helping the psychologically helping industry is catching up.
Absolutely.
And Danny and I, this will be my last piece because I know I'm going on, but Danny and I started this company because we've worked in all these different modalities: hypnotherapy, residential treatment, funk country mentoring, wilderness. And we've been doing it for, I don't know, I'm going on 15 years. I think she's going on 18 years.
Amazing.
And it's like, well, at some point we have to usher in the next generation of mentors, right? Otherwise we just get siloed into the, various companies in this geographic location. And then we can't develop that culture of mentoring that says, you don't have a mentor, right? Well, of course I don't have a mentor. I don't even know what it is because there aren't that many out there. And I want to be able to invite and contract with more mentors in the area and train them up and then help them connect with people in the world that need it.
That's amazing, man. Your approach is so holistic, and I appreciate that so much about you. It really speaks to you as a person, and also just what your goals, values, and ideas are, and it's great. I think more people need to take advantage of what you do and really put themselves out there to get that. If you wouldn't mind sharing, Anthony, I always like to invite guests to bring in some own personal stuff without self-disclosing too much, of course.
Sure.
But like, what was your take, or what was your experience with a mentor or mentors that you've had over the years, or how they helped you kind of in your own space?
Totally. I was mentored by a youth pastor at a church that I grew up in when I was 12. And I mean, at the age of 12, like, what do you want to do with a grown up except go to a music shop, listen to music? Maybe he buys you like your first CD, right? Which are compact discs. For
What's a CD?
That didn't. Yeah, it's like, I want to go out for ice cream. I want to like have only 10 minutes to talk about real life because I'm just getting into this like cognitive space of abstract thinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the rest is all just stories about like my summer vacation. And on through like middle school and high school, I would have different members of the church because that was my community, who came alongside me, who asked me questions about life, challenged the Christian faith that I was brought up in, right? And I had a lot of people who, if I needed help on my math homework, I had them. If I needed to learn how to drive a manual transmission, I could learn how to drive stick from someone. There was just always someone around, right? I have friends who aren't religious at all, and they're like, they just had a kid, and they're like, I don't know, we might even just join a church so we're with other young families, because parents need mentoring too. They need a couple who has a 5-year-old and can still remember what it's like to have a 6-month-old,
Yeah, totally.
Walk them through that, right?
Right.
This is just real life. And on
Oh no. You're there. You're there. Okay, good. I can't hear you.
Hello, you've reached Anthony RIske. I can't come.
Should we just end it? Okay. Thanks, everyone.